What is up, guys? It's Alex the Magician here, back for another Heroes 3 tier list video, and in this one we're continuing the upgrades tier list by ranking the tier 5 unit upgrades. Once again, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, if you agree or disagree and why. And as always, remember this is my opinion, of course. And if you guys want to see more English-speaking Heroes 3 content, check out my Twitch stream. Link will be in the description below. Would be glad to see you there. All right, so let's just go ahead and get into this. So at the very bottom here, I'm going to rank the sorceresses, the Dendroid soldiers, the power liches, and the magma elementals. So I feel like all of these are kind of unnecessary. They don't really give you a whole lot, and just not that much of an improvement in most cases. So take the sea witches, for example, or the sorceresses. The sea witches are the unupgraded kind. So the main thing about these is that you want to utilize them as one stacks to cast weakness and disrupting ray on whatever you're fighting, right? It can be really good. The unit itself is pretty damn good for to be utilized like that, because you can really take down the defense if you're facing one powerful stack or some powerful units and you don't have a whole lot of army. You can really do a lot of damage without having a huge power stack if you utilize these guys properly, or these girls I should say. But the thing is that the regular sea witches can do that. The sorceresses really don't improve a whole lot on it. So the sorceresses get +2 defense, +2 to their maximum damage, and +1 to speed. And that's it. That's all they really give you. So honestly, not a very useful upgrade, I would say. Really not worth it to build the upgraded kind. All right, as far as the Dendroid soldiers go, they get +1 speed, increases their speed from 3 to 4. So they were super slow and they're still super slow. 5 on grass terrain, of course, but still not really worth it. You do also get a +10 HP buff, but the regular Dendroid guards still have a 55 health. The Dendroid soldiers have 65. So does make them a little bit beefier in like utopias and in hives and whatnot, but usually you don't want to waste a build on these. And since their speed is still really crap, I would say this is an unnecessary upgrade. And their main thing is the ability to bind, and the regular Dendroid guards still have that, so no need to upgrade these, I would say. All right, so as far as the power liches go, so these, another one that's not that necessary. They get a buff to maximum damage by 2. They get +10 HP, and, they get more shots, of course, and +1 to speed. Now, the main thing about liches is their Death Cloud attack, and again, the regular liches have that. So again, I would say not a necessary upgrade, usually not something that you want to waste a day building, especially with Necro when you're trying to go for Animate Dead. Maybe you're trying to go for Vampire Lords, so this is not really an upgrade that you really want to go for. All right, and the magma elementals, this I would say is the one that is probably the most worth it out of these, in my opinion. Because they get +2 to their speed, right? And the regular earth elementals have speed 4, which makes them really slow. These guys have speed 6, which makes them decent. And of course, speed 7 if you are on conflicts terrain. They also get +1/+1 attack and defense, and they get a damage buff from the regular earth elementals do from 4 to 8. These do from 6 to 10. So it's +2 to minimum damage and +2 to maximum damage. And of course, they also get the ability to cast Protection from Earth, which is nice. Protection from Earth is a good spell, especially since you're going to need to defend against something like Implosion or Meteor Shower in a lot of cases against your opponent. So definitely not a bad protection spell to have. It's the best out of all the protection spells. So overall, not the greatest upgrade. Of course, it doesn't give them any crazy abilities or anything like that, but I would say the most worth it out of this tier, mainly because of the +2 speed, which, takes them from being super slow to being, kind of okay-ish. Okay, next I'm going to rank the Zealot and the Minotaur King. So, not the most amazing upgrades, but somewhat decent. So let's talk about the Zealot first. The main thing with the Zealot is speed increase by 2, they get a defense increase by 3, and they also gain a no melee penalty, right? So it's a ranged unit, but with the upgrade, they deal just as much damage with melee. So it makes them definitely better. So definitely a decent upgrade. Again, you don't normally go for these as castle because usually as castle you're going to be trying to build angels, so it's not really worth it to build these right away. But I can see in some cases, like if you find some boxes for monks or zealots or something like that, or a few dwellings, you're going to be building monastery anyway as a build path to the Portal of Glory. So maybe week 2, if you do have a stack of these guys, then maybe you can actually utilize the upgrade to make them better. So, not something you would go for in a whole lot of cases, but I can see it being viable, mostly for the reason that you will already build the regular monastery. Alright, the Minotaur Kings, not the best upgrade because, once again, it doesn't really give them anything. They have the same ability for plus morale. What this does give them is a decent boost in terms of stats and also speed, right? So they get +2 to speed, they get +1 attack, and +3 defense. So this makes them pretty decent because speed 8 units, you can get the first move in pickets with that, and just in general fighting, let's say you're fighting something like Manticores as your break, or maybe Wyvern, right? So that means you will outspeed them with these guys with the regular, with Minotaur Kings with speed 8. The problem is still that they're kind of squishy. They do hit hard, but when they get hit, their numbers kind of melt away really quickly. So that +2 speed is usually not going to help you that much in difficult fights. So if you, like in those cases of fighting Manticores or Wyvern, for example, if you don't have mass slow, you're still likely going to have a bad time if because you're going to take hits on these guys. So not the worst upgrade, but, not that amazing. But if you go for a Minotaur power stack as dungeon, I would say it is a pretty good upgrade to get, just because, let's say you have somewhere around 30 Minotaurs and you're breaking with that. Of course, getting the Minotaur Kings upgrade is something you want to do in that case. Alright, next we're getting into some of the more interesting units. The Thunderbird is C tier in my opinion. So it is a good upgrade. It increases their speed by a decent amount. The rocks have speed 7. These guys have speed 11, and that's the fastest unit that Stronghold has. So if you really want to get a fast unit, you can upgrade these guys. The problem is that Angels will still outspeed you. Serpent Flies or Silver Pegasi will still outspeed you. But you can tie speed with at least like Red Dragons and outspeed Green Dragons if that's what you're facing. So for that reason, you can get the upgrade. At the same time, they gain the Lightning Strike ability. They don't gain a stat increase or a damage increase or a health increase, but they do also gain the Lightning Strike, which is random. I believe it has 20% chance to hit. But when it does hit, it's kind of nice. It's actually one of those abilities that's harder to face than it is when it's on your side. You always hate fighting Thunderbirds because of that ability, because it can really wreak havoc on your early game power stack, or even when you're doing the break. But when you're fighting with these guys, you usually don't have a huge enough power stack of these guys to actually do a lot of damage with that lightning strike. So in most cases, they're going to be more like fast one stacks that you can speed up your heroes with, or that you can use to gain initiative if your opponent doesn't have a faster unit. And the other thing that these are good for is going for pickets, because they can help you get the first move and also tank a little bit of damage if you are doing pickets. So, you know, because it is something that Stronghold likes to do. But without these guys, you will be losing a lot of your either goblins or wolf raiders. So I personally prefer to actually get upgraded Thunderbirds to do pickets with Stronghold. So overall, pretty solid. Speed increase, lightning strike, decent, you know, pretty decent upgrade overall. All right, next I'm going to rank the Pit Lords. So Pit Lords, nice upgrade for sure. It allows you to demon farm, right? So based on the difference between these guys and the regular Pit Fiends, in terms of stats, they're pretty much the same. These guys do gain +1 speed, movement speed, but it gives you the summon demons ability, right? So basically it turns your dead creatures into demons, and it's nice if you're going for demon farming. Now, the build is not the most viable because I do believe that it requires Mage Guild. I think it's somebody corrected me that it's Mage Guild level 1 for the Pit Lord, so it's not the quickest in terms of actually building them to start demon farming. But if you do go for demon farming, of course you want to get this upgrade, because the regular Pit Fiends do not actually raise demons. So if you happen to find a box of Pit Fiends, you may want to get the upgrade. If you find a hill fort, definitely want to get the upgrade. Or if you have a few of their dwellings and the conditions are right for demon farming, I might actually make a video on that sometime in the future. But yeah, if the conditions for demon farming are right, you certainly want to get this upgrade, because it is a very interesting ability. A little bit slow, but it is viable, and I've actually lost before to somebody who demon farmed as Inferno, so definitely an interesting mechanic. Nobody really has, no other town has a mechanic like that. It's part of the reason why I kind of like Inferno, even though it's the worst town in terms of strength. They do have some interesting units and some interesting mechanics, and this is one of them. All right, next I'm going to rank the Mighty Gorgons. So Mighty Gorgons, awesome, just like overall an awesome tier 5 unit. They are super tanky. They have 70 health, right, which is the same as a Wyvern, which is tier 6. The Mighty Gorgons, so they get +1 to their attack, +2 to defense, and they gain the Death Stare ability, which gives every one stack, or you know, every Mighty Gorgon in the stack, 10% chance to cast the Death Stare. And the formula is a little bit different, so with 10 of them, it's not a 100% chance, but it is a pretty damn high chance. So if you get, even though, as I've said before, I don't really like depending on abilities that take chance to proc. These are, you know, if you get high enough numbers of them, you nearly guarantee that there will be a Death Stare and kill at least one creature. And when you're facing something like dragons in the Utopia, or like black or gold dragons, or one of the neutral dragons like rust dragons or crystal dragons, if you can get like a 15 stack of these and, you know, just use their Death Stare, that can be really, really helpful in those cases. So overall, definitely a really, really solid upgrade, because mostly because of that Death Stare. It is a bit of a pain in the ass to get, because it actually requires resource silo to be able to get the upgrade, which is weird. Like, why would a warrior, or why would a battle creature require resource silo to build? But hey, you know, it is what it is, I guess. But, you know, if you can get decent numbers of these, definitely worth to get the upgrade. All right, and the S tier, tier 5 upgrade is, of course, the Master Genie. I mean, this is one that you want to get in nearly 100% of cases if you're actually getting genies, like if you find genie dwellings, or if you, get a regular genie's box, like if you happen to not get lamps. Of course, the good thing about the lamps that tower gets is the fact that you do recruit Master Genies in the lamps, which is great. In those cases, if you just rely on that, you don't necessarily go for the Genie upgrade. But if you don't get them, like I said, if you just get the Genie dwellings or you get a regular Genie's box, then certainly you want to get the upgrade because they gain the spell casting ability. So besides that, they do also gain speed. The regular genies are speed 7, these are speed 11, so that's also really good. And the spellcaster ability is just amazing. It makes your army really imba. This is what made Tower mid-tier now on JC when it used to be bottom tier before they added the lamps. So when you get a few genies and you just use those as 1 stacks to buff either your gremlin stack in the early game, you can do much more difficult fights, or later on you start buffing your power stack of either wyvern or cyclops or angels or giants, and that becomes much better as well, or the genies themselves. If genies are your power stack, those they can help you do much more difficult fights. Like you can do breaks with numbers of your power stack that would be much lower than any other town, because you will be getting those buffs, and you'll get things like Bloodlust and Bless and Frenzy, and of course you have to be careful to not get frenzied into, like if you cast Frenzy and the neutral's morale and they hit your frenzied stack, that can of course mess you up. But if you play properly, these are certainly a lifesaver in many situations. Buffs from genies are amazing. They're they're random, of course, because it's random what you're going to cast, but you will cast all possible buffs. So if you have enough 1 stacks of genies, you will be able to get all of the buffs that you need. So I would say it is pretty reliable in most cases. So yeah, really amazing upgrade. I would say you want to get this in about 100% of cases if you actually are building genies or farming like external genie dwellings or something like that. The only case where you don't want to necessarily get it is if you are already getting a lot of lamps and you don't really need the additional master genies. But even then, in many cases, I still get the genie upgrade just to make my genie stack that much bigger. Alright guys, so that's it for this ranking. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, check out the Twitch stream, link in the description below, and I will see you guys soon. Peace out.